Without Jesus Christ, this world is on the highway to destruction. Without Jesus Christ, this world, there's only one destination after death, and that destination, as the Bible tells us, is only hell. And hell is not an imaginary or a temporary place. It's a literal place. Jesus himself said it. Not a temporary place where someone could go and be released for good behavior. Imagine a place that is filled with a furnace like fire that burns forever and you can never get out. A place where there is regret and anger and pain and torment and gnashing of teeth. I did not make this up. Jesus himself said, recorded in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 18, this is what he said, that it is a place that is a place of constant crying and regret, and there is no place to leave that place called hell. Nobody wants to go to hell. Some people who talk about hell only speak about hell when they curse others. There's no point in telling others to go to hell when they're already going there without Christ. There are some people who joke and say, I will be partying in hell. No, they won't. There is no such place like a party in hell. And some people ignore the subject of hell altogether. Either they don't believe in it, or they are so uncomfortable talking about hell, or perhaps they don't even care about the reality of the afterlife. Perhaps that thought had crossed your mind as to where one goes in the afterlife after death. Well, the Bible has a clear answer, very clear answer. The Bible tells us in the book of Ezekiel that the soul that sins shall die. All have sinned and have fallen short of the standard of God. Everyone dies. We all know that. 1 out of 1 dies. 100%. But what happens after that? The Bible tells us in the book of Hebrews that after death comes judgment. Now, why judgment? Why? Well, I have to peel back a little bit and explain. Man was originally not destined to death and hell and judgment. The Bible tells us that God made everything good. When he made human beings, he saw and said, this is very good. But you know what man did? He messed it up. He failed. And he turned his back against God. Man rebelled against God. And ever since that day, we have inherited something called a sin nature. Man was made to live contently and happily and joyfully in a relationship with his God, with the Creator God. But man has turned his back against God and turned his heart to himself. Man became a self-idolater. So in the end, man has become an enemy of God. You know, at this point, I want to pause and ask the question, is man that bad? Well, I thought man's good. He could do a few good things. Is man's sin so bad that God has to go to such severe lengths? Is humanity really that depraved and sinful? Well, the truth of the matter is it's worse than you realize. I'll give you a small illustration. Recently, there was a so-called pastor somewhere up in the north, and with that tragedy that happened in Nashville, this so-called pastor said that the murderer, the killer, is the one who is being victimized, never saying anything that this killer was responsible for the murder of innocent children. And that's how insane this world is today. Today we're living in an age where good is called evil and evil is called good. It's worse than you realized. You know what God feels? Yes, he feels. God is grieved by the actions of humanity every day. And so God is grieved, but God is just. God is holy. God is a perfect judge. And so he must judge. And so if I were to face God with his perfect justice, I would never be able to repay a debt to God. I owe a debt to God that could never be repaid. And there's only one way to escape that judgment of God. And that is why Jesus Christ came. He received the judgment that I would have received. He took the blame. He took all the hits. He took the punishment that I would have received if I were to be judged. He took the judgment of God. I sinned. I owe a debt. Jesus simply paid the fine on my behalf. Isn't that good news?